much of a good idea as this thing was in terms of well, a place to mount the switch and protect some of the cabling, it definitely was not durable enough. I probably could have guessed that something just barely better than aluminum foil wouldn't be robust enough. So I've salvaged some material from a different case, so it's a little thicker. Pop the switch in there and then try and figure out how to mount the camera onto the other end, perhaps. Yeah, see how that goes. Okay, so let's mark up our work here. How we're gonna come on here, so we know where to put our little corner holes, and then we'll punch that out. We'll have a place for the switch, and yeah. So how did that turn out square? Okay, so drill a few holes and pry that out with scissors. I mean, it's like cheese, this stuff. You can cut it with almost any. And smooth up the edges. It doesn't have to be square. You've got to, I mean, it's nice if it's square, and it's nice if it's centered. I got neither of those. But then you've got a lip on the switch that covers up some indiscretion, and there you go. So we try and drill a couple of holes in this thing. So we use a Dremel to drop a slot into our new undercarriage, and then clean it up with some emery cloth, some 600 emery cloth, and then this guy will slip, the Velcro will slip through that slot once I've cleaned it up. So yeah, it's coming together. Okay, so I'm getting lots of good use out of this chassis, and I think I've got a plan worked out for the mounting of the camera. So we just need a plate to mount this on, and then that will either form a bottom housing or a top housing, depending on how you look at it. And now I'm thinking I might be able to make a cover for the sides of this thing. For this bend, I needed bigger thumbs. And then once we've bent it down, we just persuade it a little bit at a time. Just like that. So now we've got a fairly robust channel that slips over top of our switch holder, which actually should obviously be going out the other way. Because this is going to be camera side, that's going to be the back side. Drill a pilot hole before putting the big one through. So there's some progress. I got that contoured to accommodate the mount for the camera, and then I needed also to put some routing holes for the strap that's going to go through here and secure the battery. So that is what's going to be sitting underneath the drone, and now all I have to do is put some fasteners here so that the battery clamp can be attached. Battery clamp / camera mount can be attached onto the base of the undercarriage. So yeah, there's a small amount of gusseting here, so I'm hoping that will be stiff enough to mount the camera on, and I think it is. I mean, that's gonna help. We can probably calculate what amount it's gonna help, but don't have those tables in my head. Okay, so we transfer the dimensions onto the top from what we were working on in the bottom here. So this little job is a nice addition to tapping. It holds the tap perpendicular. I forget what it's called, but it allows you to tap basically by gravity. Okay, so tap those up, enlarge those. I'm going to put a bit of a chamfer on each of these and throw some fasteners in it, which I have kicking around somewhere. Oh yeah, those guys. So yeah, that'll work. So with that little chamfer in there, those puppies will sit nice and flush and not cause any abrasion. So I was pretty happy about the landing gear design before. I mean, it was clever, but I think I'm going to replace it with this because these things just tend to not return to their original shape as well. And so I'm just going to melt a flat into there. I don't know, I might change its geometry from round to something else to give it a bit more shock absorbing, but see what happens. So that took much longer than it had to. I had to increase the fastener size here because I stripped a bolt. Moron. But I think actually 5mm is better fastener for that application anyways. And there it is, rebuilt with new landing gear, stabilized with 2 fasteners underneath against rotational stress, the new battery mount and camera mount on the front. So we've got a drone that looks something like that. Pew 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 pew. Okay, and there it is with the fasteners in place for the undercarriage battery mount, and that is solid, but not all that heavy. So this is the materials I should have been starting out with from the beginning, rather than, well, we remember where this thing began, don't we? That was a pretty flimsy thing, but this now is very rigid, very rigid. I mean, it's yeah, structural, totally structural. So hanging a camera off, it's not a big problem at all, and you can mount all kinds of other things. Like this thing could, I swear, it could hold. And there it is with the flight controller and receiver mounted. So I think it's a pretty clean build, but I said that after every single one. But I'm a little more confident, but it's heavier. It's definitely heavier. We'll see how it flies.